Exciting day to be able to talk about people that have committed to joining your program. Our class of four, three of them have been committed for pretty close to a year now. So it's nice to be able to officially talk about them and brag on them a little bit. I'll go through real quick and kind of highlight each one. Taryn Hamling, obviously familiar last name. Heaven's younger sister out of Grand Rapids. Elite scorer, elite shooter. Obviously comes from a basketball family, being coached by her mom. Just has a feel for the game. I know it's going to get, how does she compare to Heaven? A little bit different players. Both have their strengths. Obviously both phenomenal shooters. I think Taryn's one of the best shooters in the country probably. Just an elite level shooter that we know that's going to translate immediately for her. But she has plenty of other skills too that are going to contribute to us. We'll go I can't remember who committed next, if it was Avery or Miriley, but we'll go with Miriley. Simon from West Fargo here in town. As Roger just said, it's great when you can keep local kids here. And Miriley has improved drastically every season she's played here in high school and has been dominant here in town and in her league. Just really great feet for a big kid. She's got good size, but is a heck of a soccer player too. So that nimbleness on the soccer field shows up in her ability to maneuver in and around the lane and do some things basketball-wise that maybe you don't expect from somebody of her size. So her skill is really high-level skill for somebody of her size and just going to have a chance to be a really good player in the Summit League. Avery Koenen from Montevideo, Minnesota. Smaller town, but big-time talent. She's undervalued and ranked, I think, all over the country from what I see of her. I think she's 180 in ESPN top 200, but I think she's even better than that. She's all of 6'2", runs and jumps, great triple jumper in track and field. But her basketball skill set has caught up to her in the last couple summers. Both her mom and dad played Division II ball there at Southwestern Minnesota. So she's just got it in her genes and in her blood. Her best days are ahead of her. She's a little bit of a late bloomer as far as just her height and athleticism catching up to the basketball side. But her ceiling is tremendous. So really excited to have her. Our last, Abby K, our last commit out of Wayzata just happened, a few weeks ago, really. We decided she was back on the market, had decommitted from a school that had a coaching change. We really liked her in high school, but weren't sure if we had a spot. And the way things shaked out with us in the spring, and then looking at classes ahead and down the road a little bit, she was too good of a player for us to pass up on and not get back in the mix with here in the fall, and very fortunate enough for her to join us. She's a great athlete, 5'11", long, plays with a real toughness out there that we really value. She's super versatile, can play multiple positions. Just as we try to get bigger, longer, faster, she fits that mold really well. One thing that stands out about this class, obviously last year's freshman class, whether they signed in the spring or the fall, I think we had a Swedish kid, an Australian kid, an Oregon kid, and an Illinois kid. So we kind of went all over for those guys, and they're all four doing fantastic. But it's also nice to get some regional kids here. I think three of those Minnesota kids, in my opinion, are three of the top 10 players in the state over there. And then Miriley's obviously right there with Logan Nisley in this class as the two best players in her class here in North Dakota. So fired up about all of them, but I'll take any questions you have.
Jory, I know we spoke over the summer just about a consistent effort to get into the Twin Cities. How big a deal was that to get Abby out of a program like Wayzata that has 5 Division I players on their roster?
Yeah, it's been an area of emphasis, obviously. Minnesota high school basketball in general is just really good. The cities and the competition and the players that are put out there is a really high level in the country. Not just because we're close by. That's an area that's kind of a hotbed for talent. And she's a winner on a winning team that's played with other high-level players and against high-level players. So competition and those kind of things aren't going to be a huge adjustment for her. We've continued to do that. We'll have some more commitments coming down the road from that area, and a place where we've really tried to get in. There's phenomenal summer programs over there in Minnesota that put out talent at all levels. We feel like we have good relationships, and that's paying dividends.
Bit easier to recruit Taryn Hamling than the normal student athlete when you guys have the connection on the team.
Well, yeah, probably. I mean, I think Taryn committed to us maybe 2 years ago. I think that was easier for her to do and easier for us to do. Obviously, having Heaven here and knowing her and her family and who they are as people and how Heaven is as a player and a competitor. Her sister's the same way. We're probably going to have to hold them apart in practice next year and make sure they're not at each other's throats, but we kind of like that a little bit too.
About Miriley, I know you mentioned a little bit just that she was an early on for you, that you had a high interest in there, and she's been committed for 16 months already.
Yeah. When you're evaluating players that play those positions, there's some things you're looking for that are maybe hard to teach. When we go into anybody, it's what do you have that we can't help you with? And as I mentioned earlier, you see her walk in, you're like, man, that's a big, strong-looking kid. And then you watch her move in little spaces and the way that her footwork, change of direction. If you really just tighten some things up on her, she can grow tremendously from where she is now, and she's a really good player now. She also has terrific touch in and around the basket. A lot of young post players are going to drop step and bang that thing off the backboard and ricochet it out to the free throw line. And she just has soft hands, soft feel around the basket. Those are things that are hard to teach, that take hours and hours of time, and reps. So she's starting off with just some traits that are, not very coachable.